Over the years, there have been a lot of ghost movies. Most of them are of the haunted house variety, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some of my favorite horror movies are about haunted houses. However, it's nice to see a ghost movie that does things a little differently. Here's 5 unique ghost movies you may have overlooked. Surrogate. Surrogate's a 2022 horror movie from director David Willing. The movie's about single mother Natalie. She's a nurse who witnesses a terrible event that she has no control over, and shortly afterwards, everything in her life goes wrong. It seems she may have inherited some sort of curse, but no one believes her. Okay, what's unique about this movie is it's an Australian horror film that was inspired by Japanese horror films. So while it has the elements of exploitation, it also has the look and many of the things that you would commonly see in J-horror. Long hair, curses, children in danger, and so on. The movie was directed by David Willing. He said all of these elements were intentional. He's a fan of J-horror and wanted to see if he could mix Aussie horror with J-horror. The result is an interesting cultural mix. The movie stars Kesti Morasi, who you may remember as Christy from Wolf Creek. It's also starring someone who I haven't seen in a long time, Jane Badlier from the TV series V, the original one from the 80s. She was born in New York, but after going to Australia in the late 80s to work on the retooled Mission Impossible series, she decided to get citizenship, move there, and get married. Surrogate's an interesting film that channels a lot of different things at once. It's a pretty neat movie, and not what I was expecting in a good way. While the name Surrogate makes sense in the context of the film, I have a feeling that may have hurt its discoverability. Just a quick search brings up Surrogates from 2009, Surrogate from 2017, The Surrogate from 2020, The Surrogate from 2013, The Surrogate from 1995, and you get the point. I think the movie's worth checking out. Just make sure to not confuse it with the other Surrogates. Surrogate's currently streaming on Tubi and Fossum. The Invisible. The Invisible, or I hope I'm saying this right, Den Ossenlige, is a 2002 Swedish supernatural mystery film. The movie's about a teenager named Nicholas who's getting ready to graduate high school and go to college. Due to a misunderstanding, which is revealed later, a woman hires some thugs to beat him to death. Nicholas wakes up in the woods and discovers he's in limbo, stuck somewhere between life and death. He goes to town and no one can see him except the guy who beat him to death. He then tries to get the guy to help him as he learns more about what happened to him. The movie was loosely based on the 2000 book of the same name from author Mats Wall. What's unique about this is it's a ghost movie where the hero has to get the guy who murdered him to help him. I know the concept of someone trying to get help from the grave isn't brand new, but this was pretty unique 23 years ago, and done in a way that is different from something like, say, Ghost. The movie was remade in 2007 as The Invisible and directed by David S. Goyer. It tells largely the same story with a few changes and things updated for American audiences. It's not bad, but the original is still the better film. About the best thing the remake has going for it is Australian actor Alex O'Loughlin, who's great in just about everything. The original film doesn't seem to be streaming anywhere, which is a shame. It is available on DVD. YouTube coming through in the clutch with the original movie with English subs. Go check it out. Below. Below's a 2002 supernatural mystery film from director David Twohy. The movie's about a U.S. Navy submarine that rescues a group of survivors from a sunken ship. After the new passengers join them, all sorts of weird unnatural occurrences start to happen, and the crew starts dying. What's unique about this movie is, it's a ghost house movie in a submarine. Kind of like how Event Horizon was a ghost house movie in space. The original script was called Proteus. It was written by Darren Aronofsky and Lucas Sussman. The script they wrote was a historical sci-fi thriller that takes place in an American submarine during World War II. The sub was stuck in a bad place, with Nazis above them dropping depth charges, and then below them was a giant undersea monster who was awakened by the depth charges. Which, I gotta say, sounds pretty amazing. After the sleeper hit Pitch Black, Dimension brought Twohy on board to direct. They weren't sold on the current script, so Twohy rewrote it. He took out the sci-fi elements and added in the supernatural. The movie was produced by Miramax's subdivision, Dimension. It was shot to be R-rated, but unfortunately, Producer and gigantic asshole Harvey Weinstein demanded the film be cut to PG-13 for a theatrical release. Chewie refused, and so in retaliation, instead of the film getting a wide release, Weinstein dumped the film into 33 theaters. The movie had next to no marketing, and most people never even heard of the film until later when it hit cable. Weinstein's notorious for doing this, burying a movie if the director refuses his changes. Below was nominated for the Best Film at the 2003 International Fantasy Film Awards, and Graham Revell's score was nominated for Best Score at the 2003 Chainsaw Awards. One of the best things about the film is just how claustrophobic it feels. It's one of the creepiest, most atmospheric ghost movies out there. The beauty of this is with most ghost house movies, people can just leave the house. In this, they're trapped in a tin can at the bottom of the ocean. There is nowhere they can go to escape. Despite being buried, the movie did find its audience over the years. It recently got a much-deserved 4K release from Kino Lorber. When I wrote this, it was available for streaming on Pluto, but not anymore. It's now on Paramount+. It's also on video on demand. 100 Feet. No, this isn't Quentin Tarantino's wet dream. This is a horror movie written and directed by Eric Red. It's about Marnie, played by Famke Janssen. She was recently released from prison after serving a few years for murdering her abusive husband. She's let out to spend the last year of her sentence under house arrest at her home, which sat dormant for the whole time she was in jail. They fit her with an ankle bracelet, so she can't go 100 feet from where the sensor is in her house. If the alarm goes off for more than 3 minutes, the police will come to the house, and she goes back to jail. While in the house, she discovers she's sharing it with the very, very vengeful ghost of her dead husband, who wants to continue where he left off. This is a really good movie. About 80% of the film is Janssen by herself in one location, which is hard to pull off. However, due to the size of the building, the director is able to keep her moving around, which keeps the audience engaged. Michael Pare plays her dead husband, and while he's not in the movie per se, his presence is felt. They do a terrific job with the effects and make him look genuinely scary. There's a scene later on that I don't want to spoil that was a huge surprise and showed just how angry this spirit could get. The director, Eric Red, has a background in effects, and so the vast majority of the visuals in the film were practical. I think there was some CG in there, but it was hard to tell, which is great on both ends. There are some moments that feel like a bit of an homage to The Evil Dead, which, knowing the director's love for horror, could have been intentional. I don't know what happened with the distribution, but the film was picked up and aired on the Sci-Fi Channel before getting a DVD release a few days later. Then, 6 months after that, the Asylum re-released the film under their label, which is a shame because I think most people would see the Asylum brand and automatically assume the film's going to be a schlocky mockbuster of something. Meanwhile, it's one of the most unique and well-done poltergeist films I've seen in quite some time. Genuinely entertaining, with some surprising violence and gore scenes that don't feel exploitative, they feel appropriate. 100 Feet's on DVD, but it's not available for streaming. It's on YouTube twice, with AI-generated thumbnails that have absolutely nothing to do with the movie. So go check it out, you won't be disappointed. The Frighteners. Okay, this one may seem like a movie that everybody knows, but really, at the time, it was a huge flop, but I'll get into that in a little bit. The Frighteners is a horror comedy from up-and-coming New Zealand director Peter Jackson. Jackson previously made amazing, bizarre, lower-budgeted horror comedies like Bad Taste and Dead Alive, which goes by Brain Dead outside the US. Anyway, he surprised pretty much everyone with a turn towards a serious drama with Heavenly Creatures, which won several awards and introduced the world to future Oscar winner Kate Winslet. The movie gained the director so much attention, Hollywood came calling. He took a job with Universal to do a horror comedy in his unique style. The idea he wanted to do was something he came up with while working on Heavenly Creatures. There's a bigger story here that I may be able to cover on an exploring video someday. Anyway, The Frighteners is about Frank, a guy who can see and talk to ghosts. He uses this ability to send his ghost friends to haunt houses, and then he goes in and exorcises the ghosts out. It's a grift that works and keeps him going. That is until he starts to see a ghost that appears to be the Grim Reaper that can kill both the living and the dead. Frank now has to investigate who this presence is and save his friends' lives, both the living and the dead. It's a bizarre horror comedy that really feels like something that could only have come out of the mind of 1990s Peter Jackson. The effects were done by Jackson's New Zealand studio, Weta, who had only been up and running for a few years. They wanted to lean heavily on the CG effects for the ghosts, and were able to do some amazing things with the technology they had at the time. Universal then made a huge blunder. The studio loved Jackson's rough cut of the film, and decided to move the release up a few months. So instead of releasing this horror comedy in October, as they originally wanted, they dropped it in the middle of July, where it got destroyed by Independence Day. Whoever thought putting a horror comedy in the middle of the summer was a good idea should not be doing this. By moving up the release, this made the effects department rush, and they weren't able to tweak the visuals as much as they could have. Universal did this to another film around the same time. Escape from LA was supposed to come out later in the year, but Universal pushed its release to August. The CG effects weren't finished, and the film bombed. Wouldn't be surprised if it was the same executive who did this. The Frighteners flopped, it opened in 5th place, and it made a little under $30 million against a $26 million budget. Even though the effects were rushed, they were still pretty revolutionary for the time, and thankfully the film's performance didn't impede Jackson or Weta from becoming the powerhouses they are today. I think the fact that the effects were rushed but still look good is a testament to how good Weta is at their jobs. The Frighteners doesn't appear to be streaming anywhere. It's currently on video on demand, and it's also on Blu-ray. If you want the bonus 6th entry, or to be able to vote on future bonus entries, as well as other perks, please consider joining my Patreon. With all these ghosts, I'm going to have to call Ted's Ghost Fighting Products Emporium. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.
So, what do you do?
Oh, I work out of the house.